Welcome back. More than once recently, at the end of a game when my opponent resigned, Stockfish said I had a mating sequence, but I was curious as to how long it would take to actually get checkmate against a really good opponent using those positions. So what I've done is I've pulled up the analysis board here on chess.com, and I have copied the FEN, which is the Forsyth-Edwards notation, I think is what it's called, and I'm going to paste it here and add the game. Okay, and it was this position, and Stockfish right here does say I have a mate in 14. That's interesting. At the end of the game, it said I had a mate in 11. But anyway, instead of looking to see what my best move is, I was playing with the black pieces. So let me flip the board here. Yeah, this was my position, and it was white's turn because they're in check here. So how do I play this against a bot? Practice versus computer. I will click that. In the game, if I'm not mistaken, what I had just done was moved here, captured their knight, which was a discovered check against the king here. In this case, the maximum 3200 bot has moved out of check. I'm pretty sure my next move would be to take their queen. And okay, their king has moved over again. And I think what I should do here is fork the rooks, because for me, the easiest way to win is to make sure that my opponent has less pieces. I think that's a good idea here. Especially if I want to start bringing pieces down here and checking. Well, not there because, you know, all their pieces are guarding that square. Let's see. If I go here, what can they do? I guess they could bring one over, and then when I take the rook, they would take back though, wouldn't they? And then I could pick up a pawn. I don't know. Let's try that. Oh, they have moved a bishop over. I don't know what good that's going to do. Let's take this rook and then take this pawn. Okay, their bishop is blocked. Okay, now I see what their bishop was doing here. It's trying to block my access to that area. Well, I can go back here and maybe get rid of that pawn, can't I? What if I go here and then... I don't know. What is my best play here? Is my best play to try to redirect to this file, but then won't they just throw this pawn forward? I think if I use the queen first and they throw the pawn forward, then I can maybe come down here and try to come in, you know, from the back way. But I don't think they can get their rook through here. I mean, they might try. Oh, they've gone there. Okay. Well, then I'm definitely going to move this rook over to the A file. Okay, they did throw the pawn forward. That's what I thought they would do. And they're already guarding this pawn, but they're not guarding this square where I can check from. But I'm certainly not going to get mate in 14, which is what it said when it started here. At least I don't think so. I've already gone, what, 6 moves? And like I said, at the end of the game, I'm pretty sure it said mate in 11. Let's get the queen on the other side of these pawns. Well, I can check now, but of course they can block. Or I could just pin the rook to the king. Would that be okay? Or should I come around this way and try to get this pawn like I was talking about originally? Let's do that. If they take, I will take. Okay. And now, I mean, I could pick up a free pawn here, or I could, you know, start bringing rooks down. Wait, my rook's already guarding that file. If I go here, they're forced up. And then I suppose I could bring this rook down. Let's try that, because they can't block with the rook. Now they can block with the rook, but let's see. I will trade off rooks if I have to. Check. They came out, so check. They're coming down this way. Check. Let's take the rook with check. 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 Good grief, this thing is trying to get out of it, isn't it? Okay. Check. Oh, I should have put the rook there, shouldn't I? That's okay. It's coming after that rook. Can we check here? And then okay, then I'll trap it in the corner here. And that's mate. How many moves? That took me 19 moves? No, I started at, well, we started just after move 25. So it took me 24 moves to win that game against the maximum 3200 bot. Okay, well, that's what I wanted to know is, could I win? Let me try the next one. Okay, in this one at the end of the game, the analysis board said that I had mate in 14, which should be a little bit harder than the last one. But here the analysis board said it was just minus 38. And in this case, I had just taken their rook here, and I thought they were going to take back, but they didn't. They've just moved this pawn forward. So I think I'm going to go back to what I was doing, which is putting pressure on this pinned piece, because that's where my knight was. So let's put it back there. Oh, they've swung the queen out, but now I just get the bishop for free, don't I? Let's get the bishop. Okay, the queen has moved over 1. I mean, I can check, or I could just move the knight back someplace safe and check down here. Or my queen is protected. I could just go after that pawn, or I could go after the queen. But what's the fastest way to mate here? Yeah, see, I think it's pulling the knight back and then trying to check down here. But then the king's going to come up this way, but it can't come out because my knight is here, right? I think what they're trying to do is get this pawn passed. But let's pull this knight out here. Yeah, they are trying to get the pawn passed. Okay, let's check and see if the king does what I thought it was going to do. It went up there, and I don't yet quite have enough material to get a rook down there because my queen is here. Should I put a rook in front of the pawn then? Oh wait, no, my knight's hanging now. I have to do something with the knight. Maybe bring it down here or protect it. What if I protected the knight and aimed at the queen at the same time? Is that all right? Let's do that because my queen was protecting here. Okay, they've moved the queen out of danger, but now I can take this pawn. Let's do that. Take the pawn. They've moved that forward. I can just take it, which incidentally also protects the knight. Let's see, if I put the knight here, what am I trying to do? Let me put my queen back down there, maybe. Okay, they're just going to move back and forth here. What is my best play? I don't know. Should I advance the pawn and try to get rid of that pawn? Let me do that. I don't know what they can do right now. Okay, let's see. There's no discovery here because queens don't move that way. I think I can go ahead and just take this pawn. Or I can go here, threatening mate. But if I go there, they're going to give up the queen for it, aren't they? Let me try that. Oh, they didn't. But now, no, they still don't have an escape square. No, because, okay, then they'll go there. But then when I come over, they can get out this way. Well, let's try that. The pawn's protecting the queen, so it had to go there. Now I can check with the rook. Let's try that. Then I can take this. Let's try that. And my knight is protecting that square, so I'll take here. King has to come down. The knight is undefended, but should I worry about that? Or should I check while also defending the knight? And then check here. Okay. Now this took me, if we had just, oh wait, it was at the same move. Both games I realized started after move 25. But this one, it took me only 17 moves to mate. So even though this one should have been harder according to the original evaluation, I was able to do it a little bit more quickly. That might have been due to whatever pieces were left on the board, and some of us are better with some pieces than with other pieces. I actually have one more position, which was from a puzzle. Okay, now this position, again playing with the black pieces, both in the puzzle's evaluation and on the analysis board here, it said -35. And the puzzle had ended when I checked here, and they've just moved out of check. But this one didn't have a mating sequence, but this one I thought, despite me having a queen and them not having a queen, I thought it would be pretty difficult to win. And in fact, the evaluation, the analysis board after I did the puzzle suggested repetitions, while saying that I was up -30 something. But I do know that if I just say go here, they're going to promote. And not only will we then both have queens, but they'll have pawns too. So I have to stop them from promoting. And the only way I know how to do that is to pin this or to check them. If I check them, they just go back up. And then I could go back and check them and then we would repeat, right? But if I come here, it pins that pawn, so they'd have to move the king in order to try to promote. And then I think I can check them here and so on. So let's try that. Now, instead of repeating, which is what the analysis board suggested after the puzzle, I'm going to zigzag just a little bit. Okay, this time they came up, but they can still promote, right? If I don't check them now, I think maybe now I can check them here. If they go back to try to guard the promotion square, then I can check here, and we'll slowly work our way more closely to them. Think. Oh, they came around this way. Okay, I'm going to check them again. And this time they've come out. But again, they can promote and they have 2 extra pawns. Now here I can check. Which way would they go if I checked there? Would they go back in front of the pawn? Then I could come a little closer maybe? Or should I continue this little zigzag that I've been working on? Let's try that. Oh, they've given me the pawn. When I looked at the analysis board after the puzzle, at no point did they give me the pawn. But here they've just given it to me. Well, that makes things a lot easier. This does leave them the legal moves of moving those other pawns. However, I can check them. So let's do that. Now they can move the other pawn, but I can bring my king. Because now I'm not worried about them promoting. So let me bring my king, not to there because they'll check me with the pawn, but let's bring it to here. Okay, I can check now, or I can check here. Is that what I should do? That could win the other pawn. Let's check here and see which pawn they move to protect. They move to protect that one, which makes it easier because I get to chop off the front one, the one that's closer to promotion. I don't think this maximum 3200 bot is playing at full strength. Okay, it is trying to protect that pawn. Let me bring the king. Okay. I'm not sure what to do. I could go, whoops, I could go here if they push the pawn to check me, I can just take it. Let's do that and see where they go. Oh, they did. Oh, well, that makes it easy. I did not think it would be that easy. Now this is going to be a simple matter of drawing a smaller and smaller box until that king is trapped on a back rank somewhere. And oh, it did trap itself on the back rank. Okay, well, I shouldn't have any trouble winning this one. But again, this one didn't have a mating sequence on the analysis board. This one just said minus 35, but that was after move 49, so 22 moves. All right, well, I don't feel so bad. That's what I wanted to do, and also I felt like it was good practice at winning the wand position, because if you just get used to opponents resigning when you have a material advantage, and then you have an opponent that wants to play all the way to the end, like I try to do sometimes, you don't know how to actually convert that winning position into a win. And that's what I wanted to practice here. But I do have some time left, so I'm going to go analyze my rapid game from last night on Lichess. All right, this is the game I played last night on Lichess, a 10-minute rapid game. You can see from the graph here that I had a little bit of an advantage in the opening, as high as 1.6, but then I gave it away. My opponent never got beyond -1, and then they gave it back to me. This game didn't last very long, but let's see if I can learn from my one mistake. That's what it says here. And my one mistake was on the graph. You can see there, that is where I gave away my early advantage, and it's listed right here. It was taking something. Well, I played the English, which I have been practicing lately. I'm pretty sure I just take that, just out of curiosity. That is what's recommended, okay? So once I take it, it's not 0.9, it's 0.5, right? That gets pretty frustrating, especially in the openings when Stockfish says, oh, this move is a ton better than that one. But that one's 0.4, and you'd think this one's 0.9, but when you play it, it's 0.5, which is really close to 0.4. So either one probably would have been okay in the end. I've only seen this one a couple of times. It's almost like a Scandinavian defense when they play that pawn, except in that case I have played this pawn and I take. But here I haven't gotten rid of a center pawn. So when my opponent takes back, I'm pretty sure it's best to get this knight out. That's what we did. Now this time, like I said, I made a mistake here on move 6. All this seems pretty normal. Oh, I should have played d4. Oh, I just played d3. What's the difference? I guess d4 is defended by the knight, but they look like they're about to take the knight. D3 isn't even one of those. Okay, I'll try to remember that. E3. I didn't want to do that because then the knight truly is pinned. Right now the knight's not really pinned. The reason that I played the D pawn at all was because I wanted to put the bishop here so I would have a discovery. But that turns out to be inaccurate. I still have a very slight advantage. And then my opponent, all those moves are rated about equally, and my opponent played one of them, which was taking the knight. And the only good move is to take back with the G pawn. Okay. Well, I wanted to castle at some point, which is why I took back with this pawn. I figured then I could get the bishop out and castle. But Stockfish definitely says taking with the G pawn is better. I'm curious if it's going to say that same number after I take with the G pawn. It says 0.6 if I take this way. All right, that's pretty close. It's 0.5. Okay, now backing up, if you take the way that I took, which it says is zeros, what happens then? That's a mistake, and it leaves us at zeros. But again, I didn't see a problem with this. That pawn's defended. I'm about to put this here to get a discovery with the knight. I thought if they moved over to try to attack the pawn, I could put my queen over here on c2. It says their best move, one of their 3 moves that keep us even, is knight to c6, and they played that. Oh, it said -3 for a second, and that's what the game review had rated this at, but instead my opponent does not have the little bit of advantage here. It's even, according to Stockfish, which has run a little longer here. It says my best move is bishop to e3. Well, again, the whole reason I moved the d-pawn was to put this bishop right here to point at their queen, but that, it says, is -0.4, which should have been counted as inaccurate, but it didn't, and the game review said -0.7. I don't know if you can see that little faint number right there. So when I played it, it's actually -0.4, and looks like 4 moves that keep them right at that. My opponent castled this way, which I understand, it goes here, but that pawn's still defended. Okay, my best move is to go here and get ready to castle. Okay, I get that. Or a3, which I guess prepares a4 or keeps the knight from coming in. b4 now, I don't get that. It says if I played that, they wouldn't take it. I'm curious as to why, but it says they would actually just run their queen over here real quick. Oh, because then they would have 2 pieces pointed at this pawn. I think I understand that. Yeah, that's what it says. They wouldn't take the pawn, even though they have 2 pieces that can take it. I'm curious, would it be a mistake to take the pawn? It does look like it would be inaccurate to take the pawn with the queen, but it's their best move to take the pawn with the knight, so I would just be giving up a pawn. So I don't know why that was listed as one of my top 3 moves here. Well, I did what I had been talking about, which was getting a discovery attack on this queen, because the queen has come out early. That's one of the points of this Anglo-Scandinavian opening, at least from my perspective, is that they've got their queen out early, which gives me a target, and you better believe I'm going to target it. But this takes us back to -0.6. And my opponent should have played queen to d5. Actually, there's a whole bunch of places they can put it that are just fine, and they picked one of them. It wasn't the best one, but they're still okay. They still have a very slight advantage, and the closest I can get to it is to play bishop to e2 now. Well, I've been talking about that queen. I decided to go for it again. Another cool thing about this is right now, this pawn still only has the one defender, so when I move this bishop, that pawn now has two defenders again. Also, this pawn has no defenders, and this defends that pawn, so I thought this was a pretty good move. It's one of my top 4, and it forces their queen to move again. And again, I should put it on d5. And I don't know if that's because it's targeting this pawn. Not sure why d5 is the best one. But here they just dropped it back one, and then I did play bishop to e2, and I'm ready to castle. And now I have a slight advantage again. Nope. Well, the engine says we're pretty close to even, but as you saw, it's having trouble deciding what the actual evaluation is. Now, I will say that I don't understand the engine's suggestions for a bunch of their moves. I'm really not sure why it says that their best move is knight to h6. I'm not sure what it's gunning for after that. Is it to keep me from... What is it to keep me from doing? I don't know. If it's going to come here, then why? I'm not sure. That's their best move. Their next best move with the same evaluation is knight to d4. I guess aiming for this bishop, but not necessarily, just planting it on a center square, I guess. Oh, maybe it's because I've lost the 2 pawns on the adjacent files, so that knight's never going to be knocked off for a pawn there. I would have to exchange a piece for it. Or queen to d5. Again, I'm not sure why that's so good. Or queen to d7. Or queen to f5. But I also don't understand why my opponent played this. They pushed the h-pawn. The only thing I could think of is that they were maybe trying to throw the g-pawn. Since they've castled over here, they're free to move these pawns all they want to, right? And the best way I could take advantage of that was either queen to a4 or d4. Now, queen to a4, I have no idea what that does. I'm not aiming down here, certainly not yet. Their knight's guarding it right now, and it's not pinning their knight to anything. And I haven't played d4 yet, so my queen from over there is not protecting anything. So yeah, I don't understand that. The only thing I can understand about d4 is that it, I guess, takes some more space, but it blocks this bishop. So I don't know. My third best move is castling. That's what made sense to me. It was the whole reason I moved these pieces out in the first place, so I castled. Again, the engine wants them to play knight to d4, queen to d5, queen to f5. But this time it doesn't say knight to h6 because they can't go there. It says knight to f6 is one of their top moves, or king to b8. Okay. Well, they didn't play any of those. They played queen to g6. The only thing I can think of is that they just thought in general it's good to have the queen lined up with the king. But I don't understand how that's dangerous. It's going to be a long time before they can get a rook behind that, and they don't have a light squared bishop to aim at it, right? And they haven't made any moves to get out their dark squared bishop. That was another thing that I thought of. One of the reasons they might have moved their queen over is because they want to get out their dark squared bishop. Okay, I'm supposed to play rook to c1 now. And it says at that point they would get this knight out and I would take it. And then they would take back here. That's the top line. Rook to c1. Okay, I do get that that's lined up with the king and it's an open or semi-open file. I just thought once this king's over here, I should probably aim at it. And a couple of ideas that I had were either starting to throw these pawns forward or get my queen over here and then throw this pawn forward. And I thought maybe, just maybe, I might be able to, start manipulating some of these bishops or maybe get this pawn out of the way so that this bishop would be aiming over there. I wasn't entirely sure. But that's what explains my move, queen to b3, which wasn't great, apparently. I just, in general, wanted it pointed here. Also, I thought if they ever moved their queen, that pawn's undefended. My opponent's supposed to respond by doing what I thought, which was getting out the dark squared bishop. But they didn't play e6 or e5, which are the top 2 moves. They didn't play queen to h5, because who knows why they should have played that. Or again, knight to d5, or queen to f5. So just like me, my opponent didn't understand the point of some of those moves, but they did understand that I was pointing my queen down there and they played that. That seemed really unnecessary. I mean, their king's already guarding that square, right? I guess they thought I was thinking about this, and well, I was. I definitely was thinking about that, but I figured if I did that, then they could play b6, but they played it preemptively, which weakens this diagonal here. Well, now I understand d4, which is my top move in this position, because my bishop can go over there, but I wasn't ready to play it yet. I played a4, which is my second best move. Wait, 2.8 and 2.7, but 2.7 was counted as inaccurate. That's not an inaccuracy. It's my second best move, rated almost identically with the best move. I thought here it could come for this pawn, right? And that pawn's not going to move forward, I don't think, because then I could just take it. So I played a4, which was counted as inaccurate, but it still leaves us at about plus 2.7. My opponent needs to bring their queen here to offer a queen trade, and it says I wouldn't take it. If they did play queen to e6, I would just drop back here, which is probably where I should have gone in the first place, so I could bring both pawns, maybe. I don't know. But my best move is, but their best move is knight to f6, and it says that this time I wouldn't take it. Last time it said they should move there, it said I should take it, but now it says no. If they did that, I would just go ahead and play a5. Okay, well, they did play knight to d4 now, but it's not their best move anymore. All those times. Wait, maybe that's why they should have played it earlier, is to keep me from going here, or here. And all those previous times that it said they should have played there, it said I wouldn't take it. But now I definitely have to take it. It's my only move that takes advantage of that inaccuracy. Wait, that was an inaccuracy? From 2.8 to 3.9? That's at least a mistake. Okay, well, I did think it would be best to take it at this point. Yeah, I knew they could take it back with their rook, but their rook's not threatening my queen. Okay, so that's what we did. We took there, they took back with the rook. It's plus 3.8. a5 is my best move. It sure looks like it. Okay, again, I didn't think, well, if they pushed past, I just take it. And if they don't push past, I'm capturing here, and that frees my rook, right? Their best move is e5, which I don't think helps this situation at all. Oh, my other thought was if they take back this way, which doesn't free my rook, I have a check over here. I guess that's the reason that they're supposed to play the e-pawn, is to get the bishop out. For some reason, e6 wasn't listed. It was a blunder for them to play e6. I have no idea why e5 would have been better than e6. They both accomplished the same thing, which is allow the bishop out, as far as I can tell. By far, my best move is to take this pawn. I did. And they're supposed to take back? No, for a long time it said they were supposed to take back, but it eventually resorted and said their best move is actually a5 now. That's interesting. I think if they had played a5, I might have taken it. One reason also I knew that they wanted to free their bishop is I thought they wanted to put their rook here. I was trying not to worry about that. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I thought I could just move my queen out of the way. But that does look like, besides a5, that's one of their best two moves. So they did play that. Oh, and I'm supposed to just take it. Really? I could have just taken the rook and still been up +4. I'm sorry, +10. Okay, I've got to know. If I take that, they're going to take back, right? That's what it says. But then I would take this pawn, and they would run the king this way, and that's as far as that line goes. I don't know why they wouldn't run the king this way, trying to stop my passed pawn. I don't know. But yeah, I guess the reason that it's important for me to take, or the reason that it's good for me to take, is because if I don't, they're going to get this passed pawn. But that's what happened. I stepped out of the way to line up with my rook, and I did understand that they didn't want to take here because that allows me down, but I thought they were going to take there with their rook, which would be a discovery on my queen. But they didn't. They didn't take with the pawn or the rook, or play their second best move, which is getting the knight out to e7, or playing queen to f5. Again, have no idea why queen to f5 is supposed to be good, except maybe to come over here. They played their fourth best move, which is to go here. My best move is to check. Oh, now it's +21. It's been climbing while I was talking. Okay, +22. My best move is to check, or take that pawn, or bring the f rook over to point at that pawn, or to take this pawn with my queen. Okay, that's the one that I settled on. And the reason is, of course, because I was threatening mate, right? That's why I took here, because it's a mate threat. They have to respond to that immediately. Okay, so I did that. Now it's only +9. Whoops, it's climbing again. +14. Okay, now there are only two moves that Stockfish hasn't found a mating sequence for. One is knight to d5, which protects that pawn, I guess. I figured I would just take it in that case. Or rook captures b6. That's b6, right? Oh yeah, okay, I get that. That would stop the mate threat because nothing's defending that. But in that case, I would bring this over, I think. Yeah, rook f to c1, okay. Well, that's what my opponent played, which is eliminating the mate threat, the immediate mate threat. But I played my best move, which was to line up this rook with the king. Their best move is to drop back one. Well, that makes perfect sense. The king would be defending it there, and the rook would be in the way of me hitting this pawn, so I completely understand why they might want to play that. What I don't understand is why they played what they played, which was to take my knight. I guess they didn't see the mate threat? They had to have. I had just moved this over here. How long did they take on that move? Only 7 seconds? I mean, I've been known to miss stuff for moving too quickly, but I think I would recognize here that this is a really important moment in the game. I mean, all my pieces are, aimed at places that are important here. I don't know if I would have found this because I'm bad sometimes at defending, but right here at this time, it seems like the obvious move. Something else I thought of was trying to run with the king, but that doesn't work if you haven't played this yet, right? Because I can still take here on c7, and then they would only have one legal move, and then I think we'd have a mate down here pretty quick. So yeah, it had to be this. Oh no, now Stockfish has found a mating sequence for everything, even if they play this. But knight to d5 is the second best move. Bishop to c5 is the next best move. That blocks my rook from seeing here. But if they played the bishop to c5, I would just take it. What would I play if they played knight to d5? Oh, it says I would go ahead and take there anyway, and then they would take with their knight, and then I would move this rook over to c1, still threatening the mate. Well, my opponent took my knight, which I was pretty sure gave me a checkmate, which was here, which I had lined up for. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. The only thing that I didn't understand was like my inaccuracies here, or even my mistake. My lone mistake here, whoops, which I should have taken with the g-pawn after this. I don't understand why that's better. If any of you know why taking with the g-pawn, why the machine thinks that's better, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.